Hi, Shayda, and thank you so much for talking to our Feel Fabulous Over 40 group. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, AJ. Thank you so much for asking.
Well, I thought it would be really nice to have this air on Christmas when you're going to be at True North and I'm going to be at Rancho La Puerta on Mexico, because Christmas can be a particularly precarious time for some people, for notoriously going off plan. That week from Christmas to New Year's, a lot of people have slips and slides, and sometimes they don't even recover. So I thought this would be really good inspiration for them to stay on track, because you have been on track for almost 8 years now.
I know it, and I'm really going to miss you at True North this year, because this will be the first, actually, in all the 8 years that I've gone, this will be the first time you're not there. So
I know I'm gonna miss you too, but hey, I'm going to a pretty good place though, Rancho La Puerta.
Yeah, you are. You're going
So,
to Rancho, and I'm going. I mean, we're both going to good places, so it'll definitely be good. But
don't have to cry for me. So you started your ultimate weight loss journey. I remember the day. It was a Sunday, January 12th, 2012. It's almost 8 years.
Can you believe it?
Well, I can't, because I just thought I thought everybody was going to be like you and just they do what I tell them and they have the results. So it's been almost 8 years. You've lost over 120 pounds. You have lost more than I weigh, and you have kept it off. How did you do it? Why did you do it? Take it away, Shayda.
Thank you. Well, why did I do it? I did it because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, literally. And I remember one morning just waking up and just realizing that I hit rock bottom, and I was sick of this life that I was living. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't want to be fat. I didn't want to be sick. And I knew there had to be a way to resolve this issue. And so that's my reason. And one of the other reasons I did it or I'm still doing it, is because I lost my uncle to gastric bypass surgery. And that was a needless surgery. And to this day, I wish that he was alive so that I could help him and teach him and follow in our footsteps. And nobody needs to die because of this. And so it's been really eye-opening. And I cannot be more grateful to people that have supported me, that have helped me, that have taught me. And you're included in those groups of people, Miss AJ. And I thank you enough. But one of the main reasons is, again, it's for my own health, and I will not deter from this way of living. And I think anybody going into this, they need to have their laser beam focus on. And I was focused and determined from day one that I set this journey to get on this journey and to do this from day one. You knew that.
Could we see a photo of what you looked like before you got your laser beam focus? I always think that Shayda got her groove. That's kind of what I think about it. You were ready. So,
now that you're talking about like Stella got her groove, here I am in Jamaica, and I look at this picture. This is me on this side. I am like this. If you put these two people together, that's me. I don't know if you could see it or not. I could maybe zoom in a little bit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, huge. And then I have another one is with my best friend who passed away here. And again, both of these pictures are in Jamaica. So there was a lot of weight to be shed, whether it was mentally, emotionally, physically. A lot of it has to be emotional for me, absolutely, because I am an emotional eater, and I used to gravitate towards things that were extremely high in calorie density, and they were never filling, and I always was looking for that next hit of dopamine. Like I wanted that next hit. I wanted the next. In one day, I could drive to McDonald's 3 or 4 times just to get those damn French fries. And they were vegan, but hey, they were not good for me.
Did you ever try to lose weight in the past, and were they successful?
Oh, absolutely. I have tried Jenny Craig. I have tried Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, you name it, I've tried it. The only thing I never tried was those liquid, and I forget what they're called, like Slim Fast or not Slim, but there was another name for them. I never tried those, but I always lost weight. But the problem was they were not sustainable. And every time I got done with the weight, it all came back. And when it comes back with more weight. So that's the problem. It was not, it was great for that particular time frame, for like those 3 or 4 months that I ate their food and did their things. But then after that, I never knew how to sustain it. And I've learned through these past 8 years that this has to become a lifestyle. You cannot look at this as a diet. It is not a diet, because the first 3 letters in a diet is die.
They say that often. Absolutely. Were you at your all-time highest weight when you started your ultimate weight loss journey?
I think when I started with you, I had already lost, I think like 15 or 16 pounds. And then that's when I found you and we started losing the rest of it. Um, yeah, but I was pretty high up there when I
Did
met
you
you.
Were you overweight most of your life from childhood, or tell us a little bit of, because we everybody's different. There's some ladies here, well, we also have gentlemen here, but there's some people here that didn't gain weight until, say, for example, menopause or college, and then we have other people like me that were heavy from the time they were little. So, what was your story in regards
Oh,
to weight?
I wasn't overweight when I was young, all throughout junior high or high school or even college because I was on the college swim team. I competed in swimming, so I was always very much into athletics. But it doesn't matter. I could swim all I want, but the foods I was eating was horrible. But I could still maintain the weight off. My weight really did not come on until I was probably in my 30s, and that's when the shit hit the fan. Excuse my French, but that's when it all started. And I was still, even to this day, the exercise has always been my passion, and I've always done it, and I will continue to do it. But even at my highest weight, I still worked out because in my head, I thought that I could out exercise my bad diet. I have finally learned in the past 8 years that you cannot out exercise a bad diet. It will catch up to you.
Right.
It
You
really
can't you,
will.
you can't outrun your mouth. What was really interesting about your story that I want everyone to know is when I met you, you were wearing a boot on your, I think it was your left foot that you
Yep,
had
it was
on
on
for,
my left foot.
yeah,
Yep.
almost a year. You had to have a special chair. I remember we still have that chair because you couldn't, and yet you still were able to lose all this weight, even though you couldn't do much with your lower body.
No, and it was really funny because I had started with John Pierre, and he had told me that because he knew that I liked to exercise, and the only way he could get through me was through the exercise. And I remember him. I hired him to come and train me twice a week at the house, and the way he got through my head was through the exercise. And you made all the foods taste like fabulous and all that. And I remember the first challenge that I did with you. I had told my friends, I'm like, oh, I'm going to try something new and blah blah blah, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And I got to tell you, some of the hardest workouts I got was me being in the chair and with that boot on. So the boot was no excuse, absolutely no excuse. But what I learned in that 30 days is that I really stuck to the program, and I told myself, I'm going to give it all I have. I'm going to give it 200% and see what's the worst thing that's going to happen. I'm not going to lose weight in 30 days. Okay, so be it. And I remember you got me on that scale. I had to take the boot off, and you had to help me because I could not put pressure on my foot. And I asked you, I said, well, did I lose anything? And you started laughing, and you said you lost 18 pounds. And I said, hell no, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. I said, your scale is broken. And you said, fine, let's do it again. So we did it twice. And I still said your scale was broken. So we did it a third time. Well, by the end of the third time, I kind of started believing you. And that's when, oh man, that laser beam focus even became tighter and stronger. And I was even more determined to do this, because if I could lose weight without exercising, which I was always led to believe that you had to exercise, and I'm like, oh man, I'm onto something good here. And that's where it all just started for me.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what's even more incredible, I think, in some ways, is that you had a ruptured tendon, and you went to something like 4 doctors that said it would require, 5 doctors.
Five,
That
because 4 is not enough.
it said that you would require surgery to repair it, but miracle of miracles, the plant-based diet, you never had to have that surgery.
I never had it. And the doctor was shocked, and he said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm following a whole food plant-based diet, and I'm not sure if that's helping. He goes, I don't care what you're doing. You continue to do this because your ankle is healing. And to this day, I've never had the surgery. I've been in a boot again since then, but for something totally different. But I've never had the surgery. So yeah.
When did you first become plant-based? Because what a lot of people sometimes don't understand is you can be really heavy on a plant-based diet. I was what John McDougall called the fat vegan for a long time. So,
Mhm.
because you said you didn't start gaining weight till your 30s, what do you think caused it in your 30s? And when did you first become plant-based?
I didn't become vegan till probably in 2006 because that's when my whole body started breaking out in really big hives, like all over, and they could not figure out what was causing it. And finally, my allergist said, "You know what? Let's do a food allergy testing." And I said, "Why?" I said, "I've never been allergic to food in my life." He goes, "You know what? I don't know. Something's not adding up. Let's try it." Well, lo and behold, I tested positive to dairy and to eggs. And being Middle Eastern, I grew up on feta cheese. Like, we had feta cheese and watermelon and fresh mint almost every day. We had feta cheese in lavash bread with walnuts and this and that every day. Like, feta cheese was part of something that I grew up with. Eggs, I kind of took it or leave it, whatever. But so once I started giving that up, that's when finally I made the transition. I said, fine, I don't like meat. I've never liked it. So because now I'm allergic to dairy and to eggs, I guess the only thing I got to do is go vegan. So that's when I went vegan. That's when I started. But I became your #1 junk food vegan that there could possibly be, because Diet Coke is vegan, chips are vegan, dried nuts, dried fruit, French fries, you name it. I had it all. Like, it feels, field day. So that's when it was probably about 2006. And back then, I used to eat, even when I wasn't vegan, I used to eat a lot of, my downfall has always been nuts and dried fruits.
Which are both to the right of the red line and extremely calorie dense.
Extremely calorie dense. You got to understand, like when they bring pistachios from the Middle East, you've never had pistachios until somebody has brought them for you from the Middle East, especially from Iran. They have the best pistachios ever. I could literally sit and eat that whole bag. Dried fruit, the same thing. But now I look at dried fruit as, cocaine. Like, why would I take cocaine right now? And nuts and stuff is the same thing. I may be able to have 1 or 2 right now, but the rest has to go out of the house, or it has to get out. It cannot be around me. It just can't. Even after 8 years of being abstinent from it, it just can't. If it's in a food, it doesn't trigger me. If it's in a salad dressing, it does not trigger me. But if I see it in a bowl, if I see it sitting there, oh no. And it's not all the nuts. It's basically like hazelnuts, pistachios. Those are my 2 favorites. Those are the 2. So, yeah.
Well, I'm just like you. I can't have any non-compliant food in the house. And I've been to your house and I've done surprise inspections.
Oh yeah, you have.
Well, I gotta look out for my girl. How important do you think controlling your environment, your food environment specifically, and then we'll talk about your social environment, has been to your success?
It's been huge. And thankfully, when I moved back because remember, we talked about how they thought I was going to have surgery. So I moved from my apartment from LA back to Orange County to live with my mom. And the one thing I asked her, and she was not plant-based at that point, and I asked her, I said, with moving back, would you be okay if I took over the kitchen? And she had no problem with that because she doesn't like to cook. So for me, that works beautifully. Now, one thing I got to say is I've always had tremendous support. Not so much from some of my friends. Some of my friends have supported me, but some have not. But as far as my environment inside the house, my mother has always, always, always 200% supported me, which has been a huge factor. I don't allow like meat or dairy or any of that stuff, food to come to my house. If people want to have it, they're more than welcome to have it outside, but I'm not bringing it into the house and I'm not making it. If I'm teaching a cooking class here, yes, there may be nuts, but as soon as it's over and it's done, it's gone. Nothing stays. But I honestly think your environment has to be 100% pristine if you want to succeed, because no matter what, it's going to call your name. I don't care how much you hide it and you put it under a lockbox. It's going to be pounding on your brain saying, oh, I know where you're at. If you're in the lockbox and I'm going to go get it, it's not going to work that way. And willpower, you know what? It's going to get us so far. But at the end of the day, we're all going to cave into it because we all certainly have.
Thank you for saying that, because people get mad at me, Shayda, when I say that the environment is the #1 predictor of for success, because I've worked with thousands of people. And while I will never say that you won't be successful if you have an unclean environment, I honestly haven't seen one person in a clean environment not succeed.
Yeah, no, I'm completely on board with you, but your environment has to be clean. And people have now learned, like when they come to my house, if they want to bring anything, they're allowed to bring flour or they're allowed to bring water. Like, I don't want you bringing anything. I really don't, because, and may I tell the story about my friend at the apartment?
Sure.
So when I first started this journey, every Tuesday, I would have everybody come to my apartment because I was excited about what, the journey that I was on. And I would cook the food from unprocessed from your book. And I remember a friend of mine called me from Whole Foods, and she's Middle Eastern as well. And she said, I'm at Whole Foods, what can I get you? And I said, honestly, I'm good. All the food is prepared, just come on over. She called me back again and she goes, Shayda, I'm at Whole Foods again. Tell me what I could bring you. I said, why don't you go get me some flowers? Because I figured that's, she'll listen to me. Well, she didn't listen to me, and she came to the house and she brought me a very small chocolate, vegan chocolate cake. And so I looked at her and I said, thank you so much. I said, but did I not ask you not to bring it? I said, why did you buy this? She goes, well, it's okay. Other people could have it. And it just looks really good. I said, fine. Okay. I didn't argue with her in front of anyone because I don't think that's the right thing to do. So I opened it and I put it on the table. Nobody had it. I think she had a very tiny slice of it, and it just sat there. At the end of the night, everybody had left and she was the last one to leave. And so I wrapped it up and I said, why don't you take it home? Oh, no, I can't take it home, and let's just leave it. I said, what do you want me to do with it? I'm not going to eat it and I'm not going to keep it. And I really don't like throwing food out. I said, so why don't you take it home and enjoy it with your family? Well, we stood there arguing for 10 minutes. And finally I said, look, you got two options. You either take it or I'm throwing it in the trash. She goes, oh, you wouldn't throw it in the trash. I said, you want to watch me do it? And she goes, you wouldn't do it. So I opened the trash, I crumpled it up and I threw it in the trash, closed the lid, and I said, let's walk out. And she goes, oh my God, I can't believe you just threw that out. I said, I told you I was going to. So I walked her out because the trash chute was next to the elevator and I just threw it out. I said, listen, I told you. I mean what I'm telling you right now. You're not going to deter me. And if this stays in the house, I'm going to get into it, even though I don't like it, because I'm not a huge cake fan, but it's got to get out. And that's where it all started.
Yeah.
Learning how to say no makes you a lot stronger than you think. And I had to learn to say no because I was a people pleaser.
I know. And now you're like a total bitch. No, I'm just but you are. It's like
no one.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
But
I
know, honey.
I love that you have those convictions because, and I love that you threw it out in a trash chute, but not like in a wastebasket, because so many people, and please guys, don't be embarrassed if you do this, and many of us have, will go back even into the trash. Yeah. So you got to like throw it out to the real trash, or better yet, put it in the garbage disposal with soap so that you can't go back and get it.
I didn't even want the trash disposal to get dirty. To me, it was just easier I wanted her to see it. So that was for me very empowering to do that, because I think once you say no a few times, you just get stronger and stronger. It's like you have always said, you got to build that muscle.
Yeah, I think people take you seriously, and that's why I say if you're ever going to have a slip or a relapse, don't do it in front of people, because then they won't take you seriously. And
sure,
women are so especially very agreeable, often people pleasers, and no is a complete sentence. So what's interesting is your mom has a success story, a weight loss story, a health story, and it's really kind of by proxy. I mean, she never joined the program, but just living with you. Tell us what happened to your mom.
Well, mom is a really good sport. She never says no to anything. And I think that the secret was making the food taste good. I think when you make the food taste good, people are going to be eating it. So mom, when she saw what was happening to me, she's like, okay. So she started eating this way. Now we would go out like to our friends, and our friends make the best kebab, Persian kebabs that there is, homemade and stuff. And the first few times, she would eat a little bit, and then she would look at me and I'm like, hey, listen, I'm not telling you what to do. It's completely your call, but you know, but after a while, because of eating the foods that I'm making at home, her taste buds started neuroadapting, and the other foods just did not taste good. Then it turns out we go to the doctor's office and all of her numbers are getting better. So she no longer was diabetic. She no longer had cholesterol, high triglyceride. She was able to get off her blood pressure medication. My mother has become the biggest advocate of eating this way and is now telling all of her friends. Every morning when I come down, she's either listening to Doug Lyle, she's listening to you, she's listening to JP, she's talking to Goldhammer, McDougall. She's constantly educating herself more and more about this way of eating, and she's become a staunch supporter. Now, does she like eating vegetables? No, it's been 8 years and she still doesn't like it. But guess what? Like I told her last night, you don't have to like it. You just got to do it and pretend it's your medicine. If the doctor right now prescribed you, I don't know, let's say cholesterol medication, are you going to take it? She goes, well, yeah, because he prescribed. And I said, okay, so I'm prescribing greens right now to you. And she started laughing. And I said, wouldn't you rather eat this than taking a pill? She goes, yeah, I do, because those are going to have side effects. So she's now completely on board. And just by doing this, she's lost close to 80 pounds. And she feels great. She feels fantastic. She looks younger. She's more vibrant. And she's just a real trooper. I love her to death. You know that.
Oh my God. I mean, every time I see her, she's just smaller. And I mean, because I met her, when I met you at that Whole Foods in Huntington Beach, I think it was. And she was pre-diabetic then, right? Or even
Absolutely.
diabetic.
She was on I think she was either on one or two diabetes medications. She was on the blood pressure, which they told her both of those pills she'll never get off of. And even me, I was on cholesterol medication. I was pre-diabetic. Both of us are completely off all of our medications, and it's been 8 years now. And the doctors just cannot believe it. Well, now they believe it, but back then I had to educate them as well. But
what were your medical diagnoses before you started your weight loss journey 8 years ago? Because you were on medication. So what were all the things that they were even suggesting you have gastric bypass?
No, nobody ever suggested I have gastric bypass. No, nobody ever suggested that. The thing that with me was I was glucose intolerant. I was syndrome X, which I don't even know what that is anymore. I was pre-diabetic. I had high cholesterol. I had high triglycerides, and I was headed down a bad path. And something had to be done. Something had to be done. And I honestly think that with some people, and maybe it was for me, you have to hit rock bottom in order to find your way back up again. It's like an alcoholic or someone that uses drugs. Until they hit rock bottom and until they truly want to do it, then they're going to find a way to do it. And I honestly believe for weight loss, it's the same thing. You have to find out what your reason is that you want to do this. Because if you're doing this to please someone else, it's not going to work. But if you're doing this because of you and you want to get healthy and you want to get further in life, then you have to find out your why. What's your reason for doing this? Because that way you can keep focusing on that for the rest of your life.
Right. Obviously, the way you look is completely different. But can you talk a little bit about how you feel now versus how you felt when you were over 120 pounds heavier?
Oh my God, I feel fantastic. I feel lighter. I'm happy. I can say that I'm finally in my happy place. And I just really love the fact that I can walk into a store, AJ, and I could pick something off the rack and I know it's going to fit. And it still amazes me that I go to these, and I start at a little bit higher size and I'm like, okay, no, but go back down to the smaller size. And it still amazes me that I'm buying all these small size clothes. Maybe it sounds vain to some people, but it really does feel good. I'm not wearing black all the time. I'm not hiding in pictures all the time. I want to be in the front of the picture. I want to be out there. I'm just happy. And plus it's such a relief and it's just nice, you know? I don't know how to explain it, but that's the best.
Hey, if you're able to wear horizontal stripes, hello, you know.
And I'm finally wearing a bikini now. Hey, there you go.
Actually, in my PowerPoint, Eat Up, Slim Down, Get Healthy, I have a lot of photos of you, but one of them I call From Martini to Bikini, because here on the left, at your heaviest, you're holding a martini, and on the right, you're like smoking hot in a bikini. So,
Oh, thank you.
you know, because I imagine you're not having martinis anymore.
No, God, no, no. There has been a bottle of tequila in the freezer, and I think it's going on 6 years or 7 years. And it's way down in the bottom of the freezer. And because to me, I've never been a drinker, so it can sit there till the cows come home. It's like peanut butter. Peanut butter can stay in my house, and I will never, ever touch it because it's not something that I like. But yeah, it's still sitting there, and I keep looking at it thinking I should just toss that out or give it to someone. And I keep saying that I'm going to give it to someone when they come over, and then I completely forget about it because it's literally buried deep down inside the freezer. But I got to do it.
Absolutely, because I didn't know it was there. I would have thrown it out for you, because I don't see people in general, and women specifically, have a lot of success with this lifestyle or with losing weight permanently if they continue to drink alcohol.
That I agree with you. I have a dear friend of mine. She drinks an awful lot, and if she would just quit the drinking, honestly, her weight would come off. And in fact, it used to be that I used to go out with these people a lot, and I wasn't the one drinking. I'd be the designated driver, but they'd be drinking. And back then, it used to be funny. But if you recall, I canceled the trip and I came to your house because it's gotten to the point now that I'm done. I don't even want to hang out around people that are drinking. Because it's stupid. Like, I just don't want to be around it anymore. And I'd rather do something else. And if these guys want to abuse their bodies and be drinking, then so be it.
Yeah. So in other words, you didn't just change your food environment, and somewhat you've changed your social environment.
Oh, I've definitely changed my social environment. I'm no longer hanging around people that are not conducive to my lifestyle. And the people that I've kept close to me, my close friends, they all support me 100%. In fact, if we go out, the first thing they ask me is, please check the menu and see if there's food on the menu for you and if there's anything that you can get. So I have definitely changed my social situation, and I'm only going out and hanging out with people that are like me, not like me, which I love if they are, but if they're not, at least they support me 100%. So going on that weekend trip to see my friends in Palm Springs, that all they were going to be doing is smoking and drinking and all that, I finally told them, I'm like, I can't, I'm not doing that. And that's when I called you and I said, I'd much rather come and hang out with you than to be put in that kind of a situation. Not that that situation was going to trigger me into smoking or drinking, because that's not me at all. But I don't even want to be around that anymore. I just don't. I'd rather sit at home and watch a movie than to be in that kind of an environment. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we had fun. We played pickleball with
Absolutely.
our new Persian friends. So that was really fun. So how do you navigate the social environment? Because the way I do it is I just avoid the interactions, but you seem to be able to travel and go to restaurants and still be successful.
Well, because like I said, first of all, I'm not going to count. I'm a very social person, and I don't want to become I like my traveling and I like my socialization. So I'm not going to stop that. Like I said, I travel with people that I know that respect me, and they will not make fun of me, and they will support me in this lifestyle. I remember going to Utah with a dear friend of mine, and as soon as we got out of the airport, we got our rent-a-car, and she looked at me and she goes, okay, what grocery store are we going to? And I said, why are we going to a grocery store? She goes, we got to go get food because you're not going to be eating. So I've got friends that truly understand my lifestyle and truly support it. And the only thing they ask me is like, don't shove it down my throat. And I don't. That's the one thing I don't do. I don't preach to them. I don't say anything to them. If they want to eat dairy or they want to have their meat, so be it. But if they start asking me questions, that's when I'll say something. And I will not belittle them just because they're not eating like me. It's like that status that Doug Lyle's always talking about. I try to, diffuse all that. So, and when we travel, again, as soon as I get out of the airport, we find a grocery store so I can get my food, I can get what I want. And and I know you don't really like the idea of a fruit and vegetable day, but
well, I like it for people that don't have a history of binging and restricting or anorexia.
Right. So for me, it has been extremely useful. Because what I've learned is that no matter where I am in the world, I can always find fruits, and I always can find a vegetable or some kind of salad or some kind of something. And nothing's going to happen to me if that's all I eat, which in fact, I have gone on some trips and that's all I've eaten. And I'm leaving to go to True North on Thursday. So I'm actually on day 7 now of eating a fruit and vegetables, because I'm trying to prep before I go, before doing my broth fast. So I absolutely love doing fruits and vegetables. So
that's incredible. We should probably talk about it, because since this isn't live, there's going to be lots of questions. So let's talk about the pros and cons of it, where you learned about it, why you do it, and exactly what a fruit and vegetable day means to you, like how much of each you're eating, because it's important.
Right. So
we don't want to let it go by.
No, so first of all, like AJ said, I do not recommend this if you've got a history of binge eating and anorexia and all that. This is not for that person. But for me, I learned about it through JP. He taught me the fruit and vegetable day. And what it consists of is 80% is vegetables. You know, it could be salads, it could be steamed, it could be raw, and 20% fruit. It's not the other way around. It is not 80% fruits and 20% vegetables. So it's 80% vegetables and 20% fruits. And basically the thought behind that was to clean your palate. Let's say if you did have a slip or you ate something that wasn't like a little, you know, was to the red or the left, to the red or the red line, it was for you to do this so that you could the next day get back on track, and it would be easier. But what I learned for myself, mentally it did something. Mentally it made me stronger in the fact that I thought, oh my God. And at first I fought JP on this. I did not want to do fruits and vegetables. And I remember the first time I did it, I lasted all the way through 8 o'clock. And then all of a sudden I looked on the kitchen counter and there was those small little red potatoes, and they looked so good. And I'm like, I'm having some. And then I thought, after I ate it, I'm like, why did I eat it? I was full, I was satisfied. There was no reason for eating it. So then the following week I tried it again. So for me personally, it's been mental more than anything else. It's been a mental strategy to do fruits and vegetables. Because again, when I went to Mexico, some places I couldn't get food, but what I could always get was fruits, and I could get vegetables. Even on the cruise ship, if you remember, we sometimes have a hard time on the cruise, on that vegan holistic cruise. Not always can we get potatoes, and not always can we get rice. We just can't. But one thing I can always get on the cruise ship is the fruit, and I can get the vegetables. So for me, it's been very, very empowering. But again, we're all different. So even right now, for getting ready for True North, it's been kind of cool to do this for 7 days. And honestly, I feel great. I have, and you eat a lot. It's not like,
oh my God. Yeah, give us an idea, because, you know, I like you, I attempted a fruit and vegetable day, and at 8 o'clock exactly, I was like, I gotta have some starch. And then when I developed barefoot dressing and found a really delicious salad dressing, it wasn't so hard. So I did a fruit and vegetable day because I just wanted to see what all the hullabaloo was. And it was fine. I mean, I do like my starch a lot. And then actually recently I did something, and it was just completely unplanned because it involved a day of travel. I did an all vegetable day, and it, you know, it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't.
It's really good. It's really, really good. So I do a lot of steamed vegetables. So I'll have steamed vegetables in the morning, and then for lunch I have huge salad, and it's got all the it's got kale, it's got romaine, it's got any vegetables that you like. And then I'll add my fruit to the salad, because I really, really like fruit in my salad. And then my dressing is really simple. Sometimes it's just orange juice. I'll just squeeze, if I have some oranges, I'll just squeeze orange on top of it. It'll be lemon or the California balsamic, because they come in such great flavors. So I'll put California balsamics on top of it. And then for dinner again, I'll have another steamed vegetables. Right now, if you go to Trader Joe's, they sell the southern greens. They sell the big bag of southern greens. And every night I have a bag of southern greens. I steam that put that in my Instant Pot, and I have that, and it literally fills you up. And if you're still hungry, go have some carrots, go have some sugar snap peas, go have some cauliflower. But I feel that I'm pretty full and satisfied.
Yeah.
So,
Well, because you've really neuroadapted and if you've learned to love vegetables and a lot
oh
of
yeah.
people still not only they won't not only not eat them for breakfast, they won't eat them. How important do you think eating vegetables in general and greens for breakfast specifically has been to your success?
It's huge. I think because if you start with something sweet, you're gonna like with me. If I were to start with fruit, I'm gonna want fruit throughout the day. I'm looking for something sweet throughout the day. But if I start with a green, no, I'm not looking for anything sweet, and it's really satisfying. And plus, you feel good. My internal audience is clapping for me as Doug says and saying congratulations. You know, you got your workout done, and now you're doing now you ate your greens, so I'm on the right track. Yeah.
Nice. What was the trajectory of your success like once you made that decision on January 12th, 2012, that you were sick and tired of being sick and tired? Was it like this or was it like this? Did you have any lumps and bumps along the road?
For me, amazingly enough, once I made that decision, I kind of went straight up. And I think it's truly because I was focused. You have no idea, nothing was going to stop me. Absolutely nothing. This was the first time in my life that I found something that I knew I could stick to, and I knew I was onto something good. And why would I hurt myself? And the other thing that I learned from JP was the fact that if you love yourself, you're not going to hurt yourself. That was huge, because I remember you taught a Louise Hay class, which to this day, I think that was one of the most important classes you ever taught at your house. And I remember you holding my hand and you sat right in front of me and you looked in my eyes and you said, say it, say you love yourself. And I couldn't stop. Even now I wanted to cry, but back then I sobbed. I cried because I could not say that. I could not say it to myself. And if you really do love yourself, why are you going to feed yourself foods and drinks and things that are bad for you? Why? You wouldn't do that to your child. You love your child. Why would you feed him bad things? So why are you doing it to yourself? So you gotta find that. You gotta love yourself and respect yourself enough not to do that.
Nice. That's beautiful. How hard was it for you initially because you were already vegan when I met you, so
Mhm.
that wasn't the issue, giving up any animal products like it is for some people. How hard was it for you to give up the sugar, oil, flour, alcohol, salt, chocolate, caffeine? Was that difficult and did it take a long time?
Um, so the oil was no problem. The sugar, I replaced it with fruit. The flour, it took a little bit of a time, but again, I kept looking at the reasons why did I do this, and I wrote it on a list and my reasons for why I'm doing this, and I continually read that list because I think it's important to remind yourself why are you doing this. And at first, yeah, things are tough, but you got to suck it up and keep going. And I think once you pass 90 days, at least for me, give yourself 90 days, really give yourself 90 days and do the program as it's intended to be done, not your version of what you want it to be, but the version that it really is. And if you really stick to it, your brain starts neuroadapting, you start feeling good, and you're like, well, why would I want to give all this up? And you just keep moving. And before you know it, a year has gone by, 2 years has gone by, because you got to make it a lifestyle. You cannot tell yourself, okay, I'm going to do this because I want to fit into a dress for my son's wedding, or I'm doing this because of a birthday, and then after that. No, this has to become a lifestyle that you do this for the rest of your life. And I never tell myself, one thing I learned is I never tell myself that I can never, ever, 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 ever have this again. Because I think to me, that makes me want it even more. So what I've learned to tell myself and what works for me is I tell myself, you know what? I'm choosing not to have it today. And if later on I decide to have it, so be it. But for right now, I'm choosing not to have it. And for whatever reason, for me, that works. That's what I'm doing. So I just tell myself I'm choosing not to have it. And if down the road and 10 years from now, if I want to have it, so be it. Remember for my 60th birthday, I always asked you to make me that chocolate, whatever that peanut butter.
The frozen peanut butter chocolate cheesecake, because you turned that down. I saw you turn the dessert down.
Yeah. But you know what did I tell you? Nah, I don't want it anymore.
Yep.
Yeah. I just don't.
Did you ever, during the time that you were losing weight, did you ever get discouraged or hit a plateau?
Oh, I hit a plateau. Did I ever hit a plateau? Constantly, I was hitting plateaus. But you know what? With the encouragement of you and my friends and family and all that, I just kept moving forward. Because what I realized was the number on the scale, yeah, I hit a plateau. The scale wasn't moving. But what was really cool is my size was coming down. Like, I was almost at a size 2X, you guys. And 2X is pretty huge. And what I noticed, I was getting to an 8, then to a 6, and then going to a 4. Okay, so my weight wasn't coming down, but man, it felt good to buy a size 4. It felt great to buy a size 2, and honestly, these sizes are just a number and they mess with our heads anyway. But yeah, I did hit plateaus, but if you continue to keep moving forward and don't let the scale dictate what your number should be, you're going to be fine. You're going to be absolutely fine.
So back then you must have been weighing yourself, because how
I
else
did.
would you have known? And do you recommend weighing yourself? Are you weighing yourself now? Because that's a very controversial thing in weight loss. I know that John Pierre doesn't recommend weighing yourself at all. Dr. Lyle says once a month if you're going to do it. So how did you use that?
I don't know if your audience knows, but I used to be what JP called a scale monkey. So back then when I was living in LA in my apartment, one of the first things that JP did was he took that scale, because I was literally getting on that scale 5 to 6 times a day, which is not healthy because it really does mess with your brain. And he threw that behind the couch. Well, 4 or 5 months later, when the movers came and they were helping me to move, they found the scale behind the couch and they're like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, oh, it's a long story. I don't really weigh myself that much anymore. I think I may do it once a month, just because I think for me, it keeps me, I don't know what it does, but I just like to see it. So about once a month I do it now. My clothes are really determining whether I'm gaining weight or losing weight. That's my go-to. And so far, it's been 8 years. Everything fits. Everything's right where it should be. And it feels good. Now I know going to True North, I'm going to have to weigh myself every day, just because that's what they do under their medical supervision. But at home, I'd say it's probably about once a month.
That's terrific. So I know at the beginning of your weight loss journey, you were in this boot for the ruptured tendon. You probably couldn't exercise for about a year, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. But you were not only were you a scale monkey, you were also an exercise monkey. You were somebody that loved to exercise even when you were heavy. What role does exercise play in your life right now, just in terms of your overall health or weight management?
I don't know that it does anything for my weight management, just because I think your food trumps everything else. But what it does do is I feel good, and it's a mental. Again, a lot of it is mental, and it just helps me to stay even more focused, and now I can actually try different classes. I'm back to boxing. I'm back to, I always had wanted to back then to do spin. And I remember going to a spin class and walking out after 2 minutes because I literally could not do it, until I met you, and you took me to my first spin class, if you remember, at True North. We went to the Y, and you said, you're going to come with me and you're going to do this. Well, lo and behold, after that one class, which I was almost in tears because I can't believe that I actually did it, I have been hooked on spinning now for 8 years. So exercise is just phenomenal. It's great, but it is not to be used for weight loss. And that's the thing that people have to learn. You cannot out-exercise a bad diet. End of story.
Absolutely. And amen to spinning. That's how I get to watch all my shows. I have a rule that I don't get to watch anything unless I'm on the bike. So I actually bought a bike with Dr. Lyle's recommendation, because I was spending so much time driving to the gym, looking for a parking space, doing it on their schedule. And that's literally the first thing I do in the morning. Is it's right by my bed. I put my shoes on, get on the bike.
Sure.
Now I'm in season 3 of a wonderful show called Schitt's Creek, and I don't even think about it as exercise. I think I get to watch TV.
Exercise has to become a normal part of your life, like you're brushing your teeth or flossing. But I remember you never really liked to exercise, and look at you now. You're like yeah. You love it.
Yeah, I like watching TV more than I don't like to exercise, and I made it a rule. That's the only way I get to watch.
There you go.
Yeah, if you find a good show. So, so many people, Shayda, say that they're emotional eaters, or they go off plan because they have stress. And I get it. Like, just being human is stressful. how do you manage stress that you don't go off plan?
Well, in fact, I've had a lot of stress this coming past week. It's been extremely stressful. So I do have stress in my life. And I remember when one of my dear close friends passed away, I got on the phone with you. I got on the phone with JP. You guys got to call a friend. You got to call someone. And I knew going into the office was going to be, because our office back then had a lot of junk food in there. So I decided I'm not going to go to the meeting. And instead of the meeting, I called you and I called JP and I talked to you guys about it. And I think as long as you do have stress in your life, again, your environment, you've got to surround yourself with healthy foods. So now if I do have stress and I overeat, what am I overeating on? I'm overeating on broccoli. I'm overeating on salads. I'm overeating on fruits. That's what I'm overeating on. But if you've got crap in your house, and I'm sorry to say, when you're stressed or you're feeling lonely or you've got something going on in your life, something tragic happens, you're going to go for that. And I think the longer that I've narrowed it down, like it's been, like you said, 8 years, I don't even think about it. Even when I am stressed, if I want to eat something bad, I really look forward to my salads. I look forward to my vegetables. I look forward to, like right now, I've got frozen bananas in the freezer. And it's been a really hectic week at work, really stressful. So I came home and I'm like, where are those frozen bananas? You know?
Oh.
And that's what I was eating.
Right.
So,
well, you are like a magician with frozen fruit. You have a YouTube channel called Healthy Cooking with
Healthy Cooking with Shayda.
And you showed me how to make like popsicles out of like just fruit, and they were like designer popsicles with all kinds of layers and stripes and like high-end popsicles, just fruit.
Just fruit, and nothing by, well, what is it you say, just fruit and nothing but
the fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the whole fruit. And so yeah, that was amazing. But I think you're so right about the environment, Shayda. Had you been in a different environment, who knows what your success would have been like. It surely would have been much more difficult. And people get so upset, but it's not from us, it's from the experts. I remember when I first met Dr. Lyle at True North in 2011 in January, I wasn't even seeing him yet as a client. It was just in a lecture. One of the things he said is you need to work harder on your environment than you do yourself. And the number one rule for healthy living is no junk food in the house.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
You know, and then everybody I interview says the same thing. Dr. Thomas Campbell says, if you have temptation anywhere in your environment, you will fail. And people get mad at us, but you know,
but that's the truth.
Yeah, if anybody out there has learned how to succeed in an unclean environment, please let us know, and we'll do that program instead. But we haven't been able to figure that out.
And I like this program.
Yeah, so I think that your success not only was because your environment was clean of all non-compliant foods, but it's always filled with compliant foods. How do you manage to always have the healthy food ready? Do you have a system with that? Because I've been to your house and it's like going to my house, but tell people how you manage this. You're busy with your job. How do you do this healthy food prep or batch cooking that you always have the healthy food?
So every Sunday is a day that I actually go to the store and I buy everything. And I buy a lot of, I make it easy for myself, you know, and I buy a lot of already prepackaged chopped vegetables that I don't have to wash, and I still rinse it, but at least I don't have to really wash it. And I just make it easy so that way I could grab and toss. And if you go to Costco, they sell organic 1 pound bags of broccoli, and they sell Brussels sprouts, and they've made it really easy. So I always have those in the freezer handy, ready to go. And then I always make, like twice a week, I make a big chopped salad, always. So that's always in the refrigerator. And that's like right now, especially because I am doing fruits and vegetables and that's all I'm eating. And I've made Mom like mushroom soup. And so I'll make either a soup or I'll make a stew or I'll make potatoes or something. So that's always there ready to go. I'm not a big batch cooking. I mean, Tammy she takes it to the next level. Bless her heart. She does so much work, and I think it's so beautiful. But for me, my system seems to work. It's easy for me. So you just got to find a way to make it easy for yourself, and never, ever, 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 ever go to the market when you're hungry, and try to avoid Costco during the times that they're sampling food. You either go early in the morning, first thing, or you go late at night because most of those people have gone home. And if you do go in the middle of the day, brush your teeth, floss, and just stay. I mean, don't go down those roads. Just stay focused to what you're doing, but don't go when you're hungry.
Absolutely. And I agree with you about making it easy. And for some people, that will be ordering Mama Says SOS free bundle to make it easy. You have to make it so that making the right decision is easy and making the wrong decision is difficult. And when the food isn't in your house, it's a lot easier to not make the wrong decision because you don't have to use willpower to not eat something that isn't there.
And keep it simple. I have always said you got to keep, my food is really boring. The only time.
Tell us about your food, because one of the things I like that you say is stop chasing recipes.
Exactly. Stop chasing recipes. If you come to my house, like right now, if you came today, we're just going to eat salad and steamed vegetables and fruits. There's nothing else in here. But if I'm having a party where I'm going to have other people that don't eat like me, okay, then I'll make a little bit more food, fancier foods. But that's the only time. Otherwise, breakfast is steamed vegetables. Lunch is a huge salad with all the raw vegetables and chopped fruits and everything. Now, I could add beans to that. I could add quinoa to that. I could add grains to that. Doesn't matter. That's that. And then dinner, again, is steamed vegetables. The simpler and the easier you make it for yourself, the easier and longer you'll stay on track. And I think it'll be more helpful. But if you're constantly, and I've got a room full of recipes, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of recipes, but you don't need all those recipes. A salad is a salad, steamed vegetables, a dressing that you're gonna like. And even with dressings, I'm so lazy. Even though I have a few of my favorite dressings, even one that I just came up with that I absolutely love, it's too much of a pain in the ass to make, and it's so much easier just to take fresh orange and squeeze it on there, or just to take balsamic vinegar and pour it on top. Simplicity will win every time in my house.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just people need to take the time to really learn to enjoy these flavors and not dip into the other flavors.
Well, that's why they need to neuroadapt, and it's going to take a while. How long does Doug say it takes for neuroadaptation? 21 days?
Well, it just depends. You know, for salt, it can take 30 days. For high fat foods, it could take 90 days. Everybody's going to be different. But I think the longer that you can stay on course, the more you'll really appreciate and enjoy the flavors of whole natural food. Speaking of which, staying on track, have you had any, you don't have to answer this if you don't want, but have you had any relapses in the last 8 years?
See, I don't want, it just sounds so cocky for me to say no, but I really, no, not really.
Wow. Well, listen, I've had two. So good. I mean, that wouldn't call them I call them more slip. Well, one was yeah, but good for you. So it's not, Dr. Goldhammer's not the only one that's perfect then.
No, I'm not perfect, but like I remember being at True North, and when you made your pecan pie, like the first time you made it, I took a taste of it, like a spoonful of it, and I'm like, oh my, I remember I told you, I said, oh my God, this is so sweet. Then the following years, I never touched it again, you know? So, and I think that has to do with the neuroadaptation. I am so adapted to things now that even bananas from the freezer are tasting too sweet now. So I think the longer you truly, truly abstain from everything, give yourself a couple of years, and man, it's complete blissfulness after that. It is so nice. And you may taste something and you're going to be like, oh my God, this is disgusting. Why is this so damn sweet?
Well, I agree. I think some people just don't give it enough time. But, you know, I hear from a lot of people, Shayda, like, well, I'm afraid if I, eat this way, if I give up sugar, then I'm going to crave it and want it more. How do you feel about this concept of abstinence?
Oh, no. I'm completely on board with you. So here's the thing. Like, for me, giving up feta cheese was really difficult, AJ. Really difficult. That was one of my favorites since childhood. And I haven't had it literally in 8 years. And we were at our friend's house, and they had the whole platter with the fresh basil and the mint and the feta cheese and all that. And I looked at it and I thought, do I want to taste it and see what it tastes like? Or do I and honestly, I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, no. Because after a while, you forget what it tastes like. But if you continually continually keep tasting it and tasting it and tasting it, it's always going to be in your head what that taste is. You're always going to chase, and you're going to want to hit that. But because I haven't touched it in 8 years, I don't even remember what it tastes like anymore. And I really have no desire to even have it. So I think abstinence is huge. The longer you abstain from something, the more you're going to stay on track, and the more you're going to say, nah, I don't want it. Because you start to forget what that tasted like. You start to forget what that did to you. And it's like Goldhammer's son. He's never had ice cream. I mean, he's never had any of this stuff. And you ask him, and he's like, I don't want it. Because if you don't know what something tastes like, you're not going to want it. You're not going to have that craving for it. Right. So I'm a huge fan of being abstinent. Huge.
Yeah. You can't crave something you never had. Even if you have the gene for alcoholism, if you never take that first drink, you don't become an alcoholic. So
exactly.
Yeah, I've always said abstinence is bliss. So
I agree.
What, Shayda, looking back, what do you think was the secret to your success? Were the stars just in alignment? You were ready, or were you actually doing things along the way to ensure that you were going to be successful?
Couple of things. One, I was definitely ready. Two, I was definitely focused and motivated. But I think more important, whatever you and JP said to do, I did it. I didn't even go a little bit off track. I stayed on track 100%. I gave it 100%. And I think that's what led me to be successful, because I never did my own version of what I thought the program should be. And people have to find someone that they believe and they trust. And if I trusted you at that point, there was a reason why I trusted you. There was a reason why I trusted JP, because I knew in my heart that what you guys were saying was the truth and that you were going to help me. So why would I deter from the program? If I loved myself, I'm not going to deter from the program. And I think that's what people need to understand. People think that they're doing your version of the program, but I remember looking at a lot of food journals from your classes, and they weren't. They really weren't. And I'd be like, why are you having, it was just a little bit. Oh, it was just a little bit. Well, let me tell you guys, all those little bits that you're having, they add up. They completely add up. So for me, again, 100% abstinent, 100% focus, 100% doing the program as it was intended. That's what did it for me.
And you kept connected to a community. I don't mean just your friends, because not all your friends eat this way, but we had a mutual friend that said, well, why should I go to the Ultimate Weight Loss Conference? Like, I already know it all, but you still will go to conferences, right? You stay connected. Continuing
I stay connected.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer about continued education. And I still continue to go to a lot of conferences. I still go to classes. I still take all that, because it's funny. I may have heard, let's say your lecture. I may have heard your lecture 10 million times, but there's always something new that pops out. Always. It's never been a case of me hearing that same lecture and all of a sudden I went, oh my God, I never heard that before. And you're like, I've said that the last 10 times. And I'm like, no, but I finally heard it. So I think continued education is extremely important. Like I'm going back to True North, and I'm probably going to have heard all those lectures again. But guess what? I'm in a safe environment, and it's good to hear those. And it's a good way to start the new year. It's a perfect way to start the new year.
I'm with you. I never get bored. I listen to lectures from Dr. Goldhammer, Dr. Lyle, Dr. McDougall over and over. And I always hear something new every time. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So last question, Shayda, what would you say to somebody who's given up hope that they could ever lose weight and be successful like you?
Oh, don't ever, 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 ever give up. Absolutely never give up. There is always hope. And what I say to that person is start with the next meal, start with the next day, but literally take it one plate at a time. And like I said before, keep it simple. Don't make this complicated. Honestly, this program is not complicated. It is so simple. When you break it down, it really is simple. Sequencing your meals is huge. And you start with the salad, you go to the steamed vegetables, and you need to fill up your tummy with enough of the low calorie density foods, so that when you do get to the little bit more caloric foods, you're full, you're somewhat full, and you just eat a little bit just to round everything off. But keep it simple and don't ever give up. There is hope, my friend. And again, it starts with the next meal, starts with the next one.
Wow, that's so profound. Starts with the next meal, starts with the next bite. And since so many of you are going to be watching this on Christmas, then realize that that's your next meal and it doesn't have to be off plan. Shayda,
No.
thank you so much for doing this. And me and Bailey, one of
Aw.
the very, this is Shayda's goddaughter right here.
Yes, my little
And
Bailey.
we want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And I really do believe that everyone can have the health and the body they deserve, and you can be successful like Shayda. And I hope Shayda's story inspired you to not give up and to try again with the next bite.
Thank you, AJ. Thank you for having me. And Merry Christmas to everybody. And AJ, I love you and thank you again.
Oh, I love you, my sister from another mister. And you're just such a God. I thought everybody was going to be like you, you know. But I realize it's hard. All right, guys, Merry Christmas. And
Merry Christmas,
next
guys.
week is January 1st. Our first speaker will be none other than our resident psychologist, Dr. Doug Lyle. Take care. Thanks, Shayda.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.